All right, welcome back. Now, I see the meme that I made for this live stream. These niggas let me say nigga right in front of them. All because I speak their lingo and I rap. And I added LOL. And I like this meme because it looks like a meme that I dug out from the 1990s. Because that is when Fat Joe came out in the 1990s. And I could just hear him saying something like this at that moment. Black Americans speak about how different we are. And I agree, we have a lot of differences. A lot of differences. Some of them are extreme from other people. If that's the case, if y'all willing to accept that, then why won't you accept the idea or the belief that other people don't look at the use of that word the same way you do? Some people might look at it as a display of weakness on your part if you allow them to use it around you. Because listen, no matter how you chop it up, they're going to look at it as weakness on your part if you use the word in reference to other black people to begin with. I mean, think about this now. When you talk about the N-word, because see what happened, Fat Joe had an N-word pass. When you talk about the N-word, remember, it has to do, your use of it has to do with the fact that you yourself are a black person. Any type of rationalizing that you use or justifying or attempt to justify yourself using it and other black people around you is going to be connected somehow to the fact that you are all black people. That's provides the means to why you justify it. But when you have non-blacks using it, and you found a way to justify that as well, it sounds like a people who tries to justify things that they probably shouldn't. Because it's starting to backfire at that point. Because other people will use the word, go home back to their people and laugh, telling their people about it. Like, hey, these trash niggas allow me to call them a nigga. Right there in their face. I use the word all the time. What? You can imagine in the early days when this first started. Like, yeah, I be calling them niggas just like they do in the rap videos. They let me call them niggas. I'm like, wow. Wow, they really are low lives. They're lower than us. Wow, these people are what? Beneath us. People are different, man. And that seems like the only logical response to me. You're going to sit around and remember, this is how other people look at it. A large percentage of other people, I'll put it like that, they voiced it nonstop. And it's how other people look at it quite often that determines how they behave towards you. That makes sense? They look at it as, hey, you're crazy for disrespecting your own selves to begin with. They look at it as, hey, you're not showing any respect to your ancestry to begin with, using a word that was used to degrade them. Whether or not you see it as a term of endearment today is irrelevant. In those days, it was not used as a term of endearment and damaged and was used to attack your ancestors their entire lifetime. You want to use that word as a badge of honor? How about find a different word? Black Americans, y'all always talking about how creative you are. Why don't you be creative and find a different word to address yourselves as? This is how many other people look at it. And we have ignored how they look at it. And foolishly, almost like a sassy female, said the only thing that matters is how I look at it. Snapped our finger and rolled our neck. The only thing that matters is how we look at it. No. So I kind of look at this situation as the result of us not really standing on business. Us not standing on business. Okay? There's a lot that can be said here. But there are justifiable arguments against the use of the word, because that's where it started. It started with us using it. Now, actually, it was first promoted on rap videos. That's when it was first promoted on a mass level. Back during the gangster rap days. Again, something that was created by outsiders. And, we rationalized it and started using it ourselves. It was being questioned the whole time. And then when people of other races would come around us, they would want to talk the same way that they heard the rappers talking. They wanted to talk the same way they heard us talking. And I'm saying rappers because many people don't know nothing about black people. All they know is from what they see on TV. So they start saying nigga too. They figure, just as long as you talk like them, use their lingo, use their ebonics, they'll let you say nigga, as long as you sound like them when you say it. That's how simple-minded these niggas are. You gotta remember, that's how a lot of people look at it, man. And why wouldn't they? It sounds like that's how Fat Joe's looked at it the whole time. Even up to this day. Oh, these some true degenerates. They allow me to call them niggas right in their face. All because what? Even though I'm not black, I'm Puerto Rican. Speaking of that, there was someone who left a comment in the comment section of my video, one of my videos, and they were one of these people who say that Puerto Ricans are black. I'm telling you now, the Fat Joe type of Puerto Ricans, these are not black people. They're not even mixed. They don't even carry the black phenotype of a biracial person. A biracial person is blacker than these people. I'm telling you that now. Have you seen Fat Joe's images when he was a young person? when he had a head full of hair. Dude, he is a white dude. Fat Joe is a white dude. And there's many Puerto Ricans like him. Like many of them got, they have a lot of that Spaniard DNA, a lot of that Spaniard blood. But I know that a good number of black people co-sign with this, co-sign with what this person said. He said, this is stupid. Puerto Ricans are black. And then he goes on to name some black Puerto Ricans. Ruben Sierra, Roberto Clemente was black. And then he said, so what? They are mixed. They are still black. No, the ones, Yoel Romero, these Puerto Ricans that you named are black. Even if they register and call themselves white, they're black people calling themselves white. These people are not the same as Fat Joe. And I'm sure some of you don't know who these people are. I'll Google one of them. The Ruben Sierra. You see what I mean? Tried to be slick. Tried to name some Afro Puerto Ricans. Trying to project Fat Joe as being the same as them. That is silly. Like, listen, are all Americans white? Are all Americans black? No. Saying that Puerto Ricans are black is the same as saying that. Okay? And this person also said, if you want to make enemies that you can't afford, you can. I'm not for putting blacks up against each other. Okay, remember, this person is calling Puerto Ricans black. So, he's saying that to refuse to call Puerto Ricans black is to make an enemy out of them. That's some of the craziest stuff I've heard in my life. But I've heard that before. Where black people look at the, calling of other people, calling them black, like Puerto Ricans, obvious white dudes like Fat Joe. They'll call them black as a form of respect or something. That's real weird, man. I really can't wrap my head around it. And the idea of not calling them black or not looking at them as black, they look at it as disrespectful. It's like, what? It's crazy. It makes no sense. But that's how some people think. And I'm just saying that's crazy, and y'all should stop saying that, because it don't even make no sense. It don't even make logical sense. You can't refute it because it don't even make. It's not a real argument. It's just something crazy that people believe. Stop it. Just stop it, please. Okay. Now, the N-word pass. I compare the N-word pass, or excuse me, I compare the N-word, believe it or not, I compare it to minstrel shows. I compare the word and the use of the word, no matter what race the person is who uses the word. I compare the use of the word to blackface / minstrel shows. Now, why do I say that? Have y'all ever done the research on blackface / minstrel shows? I want to show y'all something. This is the history student part of the channel. Look at this right here. It says Some scholars see blackface as a specific practice limited to American culture that began in the minstrel show, a performance art that originated in the United States in the early 1800s, which contained its own performance practices unique to the American stage. Scholars taking this point of view see blackface as arising not from a European stage tradition, but from the context of class warfare from within the United States, with the American white working poor inventing blackface as a means of expressing their anger over being disenfranchised economically, politically, and socially from the middle and upper class white America. Now we got to go back to the differences between black Americans and other people. Let's go back. We got to keep that close in mind. This is weird to me. You get disenfranchised economically, politically, socially from the middle and upper white America, and you want to express your anger by mocking black people? Pretending to be black people? However you want to describe it? That is mad weird. Do you feel me? That is weird. And seeing that this is the same race of the demographic who carried out lynchings, Jim Crow slavery, that is disturbing. It's disturbing. And you can't criticize black people who don't want to live around people who carry out that kind of behavior. And it's crazy because you'll get a lot of whites from that era even who look at it as, oh, it's just humor. Oh, it's not that bad. It's just something funny. When in reality, what you're doing is you're mocking a people's very existence. Remember, this became the #1 form of theater in the United States. And you're consuming this really on a daily basis. And remember, there were, at this time, in these days, there were some white people who their only exposure to black people was through minstrel shows. Just like you find today with rap music. And they even point that out in this article on minstrel shows. So what happens over time when you're constantly making mockery of a people's existence, you get to a point where you can't take them serious in the real world. You pretty much make it impossible to give them the same respect as you give other people. You're going to start to look at their very existence as a joke. And there's no way you're going to view them in real life as the same as you, as being your equal. That's what it is. But and this is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, there are some black people who don't want to live around this. Like, you so crazy. This doesn't even have nothing to do with us. You get disenfranchised by upper and middle class, upper class and middle class America. They turn your back on you, and you look at us and decide now's a good time to attack us. We ain't got nothing to do with this. And this was somehow a collective mentality. This is why I reject this idea that blacks can be racist too. No. What are you talking about? If you can accept all these other differences, you need to go ahead and accept that too. Because it's true. Dust-ups that blacks have between each other don't ever have nothing to do with white people. Are we clear on that? We got to be clear on that before we can move forward. That's something strange that does not permeate through black America. You don't see these gangbangers who having gang wars with other turfs taking detours out to white suburbs, shooting up their neighborhoods just by instinct. Oh, time to shoot up Whitey. You can't compare that behavior to nothing that we do. That is weird. We are not the same. Y'all stop that. Y'all not being real. You're not being honest. I don't respect that. And I don't have to respect that. Until y'all willing to be honest, I don't want to hear from you. Just be quiet. Now, don't get me started. I'm in a good mood here. Now, how does this relate to the use of the N-word? The N-word was sort of like, listen to this. Many of you have heard this. Listen to this.
Sorry. They're never gonna say it. But it was real demeaning racial shit.
Gotcha.
But that's within, you know what I'm saying, the camp of the Spanish guys. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I think everybody does it. Black people do it. White people do it. When they
No, we don't. I've heard this before. And this goes in line with the point I just made. No, we don't. Now, maybe some black Americans out there can correct me. I'm speaking for all the black American circles I ever been in. We ain't never got behind closed doors saying nothing racist about other races of people. Ever. I ain't never heard that. Or nothing like that. I ain't even never heard nothing like that going down. We don't talk about other people like that behind closed doors. Behind closed doors, we really ain't thinking about y'all. Anything we say about other people behind closed doors, we say it out in public. No, we don't. You can keep that. You can all keep that. I've heard this several times.
they
Let me back this up again.
they own everybody. They're never gonna say
where they're talking.
telling you the story. I let them tell the story. They're never gonna say it. But it was real demeaning racial shit.
Demeaning and racial. He's talking about how Fat Joe was talking about black people behind closed doors.
But that's within, you know what I'm saying, the camp of the Spanish guys. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I think everybody does it. Black people do it. White people do it.
No, we don't. You know how just like we don't make the same type of music, you know, likewise, we don't have the same discussions behind closed doors. And how dare y'all say something like that about us anyways? When you look at black, half of our population, or about half, it's actually a little more than half, are female. A little more than half of our population is female. And those females, black American females, they show more respect and adoration for you, your people, non-black people, than any other group on earth. They literally wear y'all's hair. And you really think they're behind closed doors saying racist stuff about y'all? Are you kidding? You can't get them to talk racist about y'all behind closed doors. They gonna tell Tyrone to shut up. Nigga, shut up. Nigga, don't be talking about those people, you dirty nigga. No, I ain't never heard that. Anytime I hear them talking about y'all behind closed doors, they saying something about how attractive and handsome y'all are. Let's keep it real now. And y'all's women, obviously they admire y'all women's hair. They're wearing those women's hair. And their hair is your hair. So how likely is it, do you think black men could be behind closed doors talking racist about y'all? We catch all kind of backlash from black women. Let's put it all together now. Think about what you're saying. Those conversations would be stopped by black women. They wouldn't involve themselves in nothing like that. When black women generally think of like Mexican men, Puerto Rican men, white men, they look at you as like poor little guys that they gotta protect, and hey, oh, don't say nothing mean about them, and it's like overly motherly type of energy that goes on. It's nothing demeaning at all. So stop it. Stop trying to make us like everybody else. That don't quite work. Yeah, we both breathe and eat and sleep, but everything about y'all don't permeate through our population. Why don't y'all just accept that? And I know it's a waste of time asking people to accept that, because for whatever reason, some things people just refuse to accept, like that black Americans invented hip hop. Craziest thing in the world. Boy, and I'm done trying to convince these. Y'all ain't dumb. That's just out of disrespect. So listen, it's dangerous when you have a huge portion of your population brainwashing themselves on minstrel shows. Can we agree to that? And this is a vintage photo, a real photo. Look at how non-human they looked. Look at it. Didn't even look like black people. They're impersonating black people. But is that really the best attempt they could make to look like black people? You look more like a black person if you leave out this white paint. Right? This white paint around the eyes and mouth makes it look very what? Inhumane, non-human. So the purpose was to, get them to look at blacks as non-human. Non-human clowns. These are actual people that you have to deal with on a daily basis in the real world. It's not healthy for you to constantly look at them in a disrespectful manner like this. No matter what group of people you're talking about. And again, behind closed doors, black Americans, we're not doing this. You might find a black person who will impersonate a white person here or there, but we'll never take it this far. Do y'all know this idea of painting yourself black, painting your face black as a form of entertainment? It goes back to as early as the 1400s in medieval Europe, medieval times. Back to the 1400s. It wasn't the same thing, It was close to the same thing, but it wasn't the same thing. They would put blackface, or back in the medieval times, they would put this like soot on their face, and they would pretend to be the lost souls, like the demonic creatures, like the evil. It more represented like evil spirits. So they would put this black soot, and they would have blackface in medieval Europe. So that made it real easy to transition into impersonating black people. But again, you're dealing with a group of people in the real world. So what this does, it makes it impossible to respect them. Don't that sound familiar? So in Black America, black men constantly called niggas. Likewise, it's virtually impossible to respect us. Show enough to respect us as much as you respect other men. It's a way to constantly berate you. Remember, black men, if we being honest, and I was around before this word became popular. Keep that in mind too. I was born in 1977. It wasn't as popping off back then as it is now. And as I know that word, I'm talking about nigga and whatever, we would never call our grandfather a nigga. We wouldn't use that word in reference to our grandfather or to our fathers or to our uncles. None of the elderly or the older people in the family who we had respect for. We wouldn't even use the word around them. We'd have to wait until we left the family function, left the family gathering, the family reunion, whatever, before we start throwing that word around. We used the word with discipline. What lets you know we got it from the music we was listening to. We was possessed by the music. Which lets you know we knew it was not a term of endearment. It wasn't. When we used it for each other, that's when it was used as a term of endearment. But just based on how it was used. We were actually friends in real life, but we refer to each other, my nigga, nigga this, nigga that. Also, as I pointed out several times, a lot of times black males will use that word when they're attacking each other, like physically attacking each other, whether it be with their fists or whether it be with a weapon. Many times they don't even start to use that word until they start physically attacking another black person. You don't hear them referring to another black person as brothers. They don't refer to each other as brothers when they're attacking each other, because that's a genuine term of endearment. That's why they don't use that word. So if it's a term of endearment, why its rampant use when you're acting out negatively towards each other? Stop with the female. It's been the denial of that. Us, all these years, decades, denying that is because we've been so effeminized. That's a female trait. To not acknowledge reality is a female trait. We got to shake that female traits off us, man. It's got to go. If we're going to evolve, it's got to go. Evolving always been a part of what black Americans do. We just ran into a roadblock with this N-word thing. Now, even if it's as little as not using it around other people, that would be a huge improvement for us, if you ask me. Y'all want to keep using the word around each other in reference to each other, but you refuse to use it around other people. That would be a huge improvement. But the way it's thrown around, where it's completely reckless, no discipline, again, no discipline, that's a female-headed household. That comes from our community being effeminized. We got to introduce discipline. We haven't been standing on business, and we allowed people like Fat Joe to slide in, among us, throwing the word around, and then it backfired. And now he showed what they really thought the whole time about us allowing them to use that word. But it all come back to the fact that we shouldn't have adopted it in the first place. And I can say that because we didn't invest in it. We only absorbed it through music. The trend had to possess us for it to permeate throughout our population. And even then, you still got a good population who don't use the word. Okay? I just don't co-sign with nothing that constantly berates black males. Within the black community, it's only used for black males. And it just so happens we just the least respected. It make it easier to just keep disrespecting. And that's how people look at it. You got to remember, that's how they look at black males. We're supposed to be disrespected. We're never kids. We go from being infants to grown men. We don't get treated like normal, evolved humans. So if we behave like that ourselves or refer to each other like that ourselves, other people are going to believe that we internalized it, and they're going to feel like they can be superior to you if they come around us talking like us, using the word. Remember, because they always view their genes as a trophy. Remember that Mexican guy I told y'all about, who told me that he's had black women talk about how much they wanted to have his kids because he was a Mexican. And he had bust down like almost all the black women who had worked there. And he told me about all the black women who told him how bad they wanted their kids to have Mexican blood, Mexican blood, Mexican blood. Right? So Fat Joe would be the same type. He'd be the same way. He'd be the same way. Again, that's how you know we're not behind closed doors saying racist things about these people. And no, people like Fat Joe, he's not black. Listen, a biracial person is phenotypically blacker than Fat Joe. I know what I'm talking about. Fat Joe, like his hair is like identical to white people's hair. His grade of hair. I'm saying this as a barber. Those of you who truly know me in real life, you know I've been a barber my whole life. With no training. I've been cutting people's hair my whole life. I know hair. Their hair is not the same even as a biracial person's. They're more Spaniard than black. Their black blood is minimal. They're not black. And that's why they don't view themselves as black. That's why you can look at them and see they're not black. Even Lord Jamar, he said he thought Fat Joe was white. You can't compare Fat Joe. See, we got to stop this idea that, hey, we got light-skinned blacks. No, there are some light-skinned blacks. I don't know how it happens, but it just happens like that sometimes. Some of these light-skinned blacks, they are just as almost as fair-skinned as a white person, but their hair is just as nappy as the darkest of black people. I don't know how it happens. It happens. I told you I've cut hundreds of people's heads, man. All black people. But I've cut some white and some biracial people's hair. And then I later had to tell them, like, look, man, I don't have no experience cutting y'all's hair. I was reluctant to do it, but they really needed a haircut and trusted me. And it wasn't my best work. And I had like, hey, I don't have much experience with y'all's grade of hair. It's a whole lot different. You just tap. If you just take the clippers and tap their hair with the clippers, you'll have a whole bunch of strands of hair just fall off in just one wave, just drop right to the floor. Our hair don't behave like that. And when you mix the two races, it has they have big curly hair. Yeah, you usually have this like big curly hair. It's a little more frizzy. So no, he's not. Those white Puerto Ricans are not black. Y'all got to stop that. See, this is exactly why it's backfiring. Y'all denying reality. You claiming to see something that's not there. If something is different, it's not the same. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. You sitting there looking at two different things and you can't tell the difference. Now you can say it's the same. Real simple, right? Makes sense, right? That's what it is. We got to cut it out. I don't know why we do this. We get dumb. I swear we act so dumb. So we don't call the men who we respect niggas. So we got to admit it's not quite a term of endearment. There's an element of disrespect in the word. True or not? Yes. So that's minstrel. That's blackface. That's where every black person you see, and in black America, every black man you see, you address them with disrespect. Hey, nigga, hey, boy. All throughout history, they have always tried to normalize the daily disrespecting of black males. Oh, it's that part of the sermon. Hallelujah. Let's have church. Let's have church. Is that true or not? Come on, man. We know what a term of endearment is. Every black man you see. So now Black America has internalized that blackface history. The spirit, the demon that went into blackface is also in Black America now. And it expresses itself in the form of only black males are niggas and they're all niggas. I listened to several swirlers talk, and they never call the white guys, the brads that they're with, they never call them niggas. They only refer to black males as niggas. So, it's the same thing. It's mandatory to address black males using some derogatory, disrespectful word. Okay? It's too bad. And there's a lot of people who still gonna use it. They're gonna rationalize it no matter what. Fine. I'm just saying it could backfire again. Just like it did with Fat Joe. At a certain point, you got to stop rationalizing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Another thing, this reluctance. A lot of people are reluctant to criticize themselves. Y'all gotta stop doing that, man. Y'all gotta stop doing that. I never been an athlete, but I always been in athletic shape. I went from being out of shape to being in tip top shape, in athletic condition, and it required discipline. You had to look at your flaws, accept them, look at them, and then fight them head on until they're gone. And we seem to not, a lot of people they don't want to look at themselves critically. You got to do it. That may have always been a mistake. At least accept that. Tossing the word around recklessly, carelessly, and we were so reckless that when a Puerto Rican come around, we keep using it. Mexican dude come around, we keep using it. A Brad come around, we just keep using it. Oh, you the same as us. You down with us. You willing to come around us. You must be down with us. You can use the word too. How many times has this happened? You had third base. Who's that dude from third base? Did the same thing. Somebody said something else about the era that Fat Joe come from, the era when that word was used. What did he say? I think I still got it up. He said Fat Joe is from that era. The N word is slang. It's a mentality. Now, I don't know that era he talking about. Fat Joe ain't that old. Is he? He only 54 years old. He was born in 1970. He was born 7 years before me. He don't come from no special era. He come from a mentality. No. See, this is what I'm talking about. This that magical thinking. There it is. That magical thinking. It's a mentality. And so what? Everybody has a mentality. So, see, still trying to justify the use and other people using it. Okay? If it backfire again, don't say I didn't tell you so. And I'm going to leave it there.